Hi, I'm Paul Bono for Piano with Willie, and in this lesson we're going to learn 3 classic 80s songs. This is going to be our pop hits package. We're going to focus on 3 songs from the 80s. We're going to focus on Michael Jackson's Billie Jean, Whitney Houston's How Will I Know, and a classic 80s movie, the theme from Dirty Dancing, I've Had the Time of My Life. So we're going to learn the keyboard parts to these 3 songs. The Dirty Dancing theme. As well as all that other stuff in the middle. All right, so the idea for this lesson was not to give you a piano arrangement of these 3 songs. I play in a lot of what are called GB bands, and GB is kind of an outdated expression. It means general business, but it basically means professional cover bands. So bands that play weddings or corporate events and things like that. A lot of great players in this band, in these kinds of bands. And it's primarily pop music and top 40 stuff. And pop music and top 40 is really how I made my way into discovering jazz. I've always been a big fan, a big lover of pop music. And it was by getting into the musicians and some of the other projects they were involved in on these records that got me into some of the jazz discoveries that I had made and really led my musical education further. So the one thing that I always had a hard time understanding, though, was when I listened to these records and I bought the sheet music, I would, for example, I'd want to learn how to play, the Dirty Dancing theme, and I would buy the sheet music and I'd look at it, and really what it was the entire song boiled down into one piano arrangement. So, everything that's being played on that record that they just arranged for solo piano treatment. And that's not what I wanted. What I wanted was, what exactly is the keyboard player doing on the track? Sometimes you listen to a piece of pop music, and you hear strings, and you hear horns, and you hear all these different synthesizers, and you hear maybe even 3 or 4 different piano tracks on the same recording. Well, you can't do that, because a lot of times in a band you don't have string players, and you don't have 4 or 5 keyboard players, and you may not even have horns all the time. So that responsibility falls to myself or to you as a keyboard player a lot of the times. And what I really need to learn when I'm learning these pop tunes is, what is the most essential part of the tune that I need to grab as the piano player? Knowing that I can play things like string patches and synthesizer patches. And you'll notice, for this lesson we're going to be using this Yamaha DX7 kind of sound, which is a really classic synthesizer from the 80s. So if you listen to a lot of these 80s kind of songs, you'll hear this kind of keyboard sound in a lot of those tracks. So this lesson is meant to give you exactly what the essential keyboard part is that's going on in these 3 songs. We're going to learn pretty much note for note what the keyboard part would be if you were playing this song right along with the track, or in another band. If you're learning these tunes and playing them in a band, this is pretty much what you'd want to be playing as the keyboard player. So again, not an arrangement, but the actual note-for-note transcription from the recordings. We're going to cover these 3 tunes, and I'm really excited to get started, so I'll see you in the lesson.